All right, hello, and welcome to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. Happy Thursday, everybody. It's pretty nice out there. The wind has died down, a little wild last night. Hopefully you didn't lose power or anything. There was a lot of that going around. I don't think Newburyport, but the Merrimack Valley was hit hard. I know there were some communities, so windy night, but looks like it's going to be a decent weekend, talking 60-degree weather coming in. So, yes, indeed, we will take that. Red Sox got a nice win last night. Very lovely. And they actually play in about half hour. First pitch for the Red Sox day game there in Oakland. My parents are actually out in California. They went to the game last night, took in the old Oakland Coliseum for the first time. My dad said it was very fun. He said it felt 3 times larger than Fenway Park, which I know is true. That place is a football stadium, so... but good win for the Red Sox last night. Hopefully you guys are all doing okay with that Tobin Bridge project coming home from work. I know a lot of people driving out of Boston having to deal with that. That, of course, has been a headline all week and will be a headline for foreseeable months. Always a traffic deal around here. And and with that wind, I hope you probably saw that the big tree fell on the tracks in Kenmore Square today. That was another headline of the morning. Green Line had to turn to buses, which you've heard that story before. So there you go, a few quick headlines of the day. But it's Thursday. We've almost made our way to the weekend, so almost there, folks. Good work, and it is our last show of the week. So my name is Drew Moholland. Again, this is Afternoon Drive. Lily Doucette producing the radio side, David Kramer on the TV side. Hello to everybody on the television and streaming on YouTube. We appreciate you tuning in with us. We have a great guest. Here's a guy I'm going to give a good introduction to because I have known him for years and years, haven't seen him in a while, and for the first time, I have a former boss of mine on the show here as my guest, Ken Rawson. How are you, Ken?
Just great. Thanks, Drew.
I'm going to put that grab that microphone. We'll get it a little close to you there. You got a nice big voice anyway.
Actually not allowed. That's surprising.
That is so. Ken is he's a tennis pro. He knows nobody's going to know more about the game of tennis than this guy. Let me tell you, he taught me a lot back in the day. We used to run the tennis program in Danvers, and now Ken, you're coaching some high school tennis right here in the Cape Ann League. Why don't you tell everybody what team you got? And you have quite a little run going with this group.
Yeah, since 2015, I've been coaching the Manchester Essex girls, and we've had 4 good seasons so far. And last season we managed to win the Division III championship out in Shrewsbury, and so we're hopefully going to repeat.
Absolutely. Well, it's that time of year, right? It must be exciting for you to get back out in the courts and getting a little lucky. It looked no snow. I mean, several seasons we've had tough court conditions, but
every year it's tough. I can only remember one in the 15 or so years I've coached high school tennis.
Yeah.
1 year that we were out the first day.
Wow.
Usually we're in the gym or
conditioning days.
Exactly right. Conditioning and hand-eye coordination. Those are the things you do those days.
That's right.
But this isn't too bad. We spent a week in the gym, and we did get a couple of days at the Manchester Athletic Club. But now we're outside, and it's cool. But it's nice to be able to do it rather than, once again, doing hand-eye coordination in the gym.
Absolutely. Well, let's do. We'll talk much more about your actual team as we get going. I'm sure there's a lot of scouting being done right now from other teams already, trying to pick your brain a little bit. But
I'm sure they all rely on your show for that.
Well, hey, you'd be surprised, Ken. We get all sorts of. But from a personal perspective, let me just say, one of the probably to this day one of the most fun jobs, probably the most fun job I ever had, was out there with those kids every morning, Monday through Friday, teaching tennis back in Danvers with you. We had a ball, didn't we?
That was great. I have very fond memories of those times, and you and Nora.
Yeah, Nora.
I've
lost contact with her.
Really
right?
Enjoyed it. Yeah, she got a real job.
Yes, she did,
and sort of disappeared from our circle. But yeah, that was a good time. I did that for 10 years.
Yeah,
and it was great fun when you and Nora were there, and I just enjoy it. I don't know why I
Nora Cahill. I was just trying to pull that name out. Nora Cahill was her last name.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
She was from Gloucester.
Yeah, quite the high school player herself back in the day, I remember.
Yep.
It was just fun. I always say, I think I told you this probably, maybe even as we were working, if we could only have weather where we could do this 12 months a year, I don't think I'd ever work another job.
Well, I have to tell you, I moved to Florida.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And I'm up here doing this. But yeah, Florida, it's hot in the summer, but it's really nice the rest of the year.
So do you come back for the season?
Yeah.
Look at that. Wow.
Yeah. I did it last year, too.
Really?
And, I really like the coaching part.
Yeah.
And this team, I really like them. And I'll also add that this school system, tremendous support. I get tremendous support from them. I always try to be careful to say thank you for that, because
that is important. They can make not that there's like a million terrible athletic directors and everything out there, but it is important to have a great working relationship, right?
It's vital.
Yeah.
It's vital. I mean, they can shut you out and have you be on your own for everything, or they can be supportive and help you accomplish things. And this group at Manchester Essex, they've been terrific, without parallel.
Yeah,
it's great.
Well, that is good to hear. Let me ask you this: so for me, I feel like I've always been into watching the tennis. Some of my favorite players are still playing. Roger Federer is my all-time favorite. Serena is still going; she's a favorite of mine. You know, all these great players still playing tennis. But I feel like the game at the pro level is just not quite booming here in the United States. Agree or disagree?
Oh, that's very clear.
Yeah.
There aren't as many U.S. players as there used to be of any level.
Is that the key, you think? Just not that U.S. star that's on the front of Sports Illustrated or whatever? I don't know.
That's part of it. I think everything goes in cycles, too.
Yeah.
And tennis was super hot in the 1970s, late 70s, early 80s, and it isn't as hot as it was. I just hope it sticks around long enough to get into that next cycle when it gets really hot again.
Right. I mean, and while the game has changed as far as from a power perspective and a technology perspective, it's still the same game. Really, it's interesting, those cycles.
It's the same, but it's changed. I would attribute a lot of it to the rackets.
Yeah.
The technology of the rackets.
Yeah.
Back years ago when I used to play a wooden racket and get it strung at 75 pounds.
I remember you handed me one of those one day.
Snapped.
Look at this thing.
Well, that's what we used to play. And they were super flexible, and so you hit a lot of touch shots and things of that nature. Whereas now the racket technology is such that you kill the ball. The ball's like a bullet. And it's made it so that players, some players come to the net, but most players don't come to the net very often.
Yeah.
And it's because the ball's traveling so fast.
When you get a high school team like this on your hands, do you pretty much teach? I'm sure you don't teach just one style. You got to kind of use the strengths of each individual player. So you find the player that's comfortable going to net, and you work with that, and you.
Well, the doubles players, you have to get them to come to the net.
You have to. Yeah.
It's not going to work without that.
Yeah.
And so you teach the strokes first so that they've got the ability to do something when they get to the net.
Yep.
And then you drill them over and over again on taking a short ball and coming to the net behind it.
Right.
And believe me, we do a lot of that because the girls, more than the boys, are reluctant to come to the net. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, well, the boys aren't really hot for coming to the net usually either.
Why is that? I used to love coming to the net.
Well,
is that because I had height?
You're different. You're tall. You're a more aggressive style player.
Okay.
And one of the things I used to try to do when I was down at Danvers and coaching boys is I was looking for basketball players.
Yeah.
Basketball players who I could get to just put the ball in play and then come to the net and be this giant fence that the other team couldn't hit over. But you talk about that, and they're already athletes. They're already aggressive to some extent.
Right.
And so they were.
You can teach the strokes if you give me an athlete.
To a certain extent.
Yeah.
But it's a tough game to play at a really proficient level.
Right.
You spent years getting to the level that you played at.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to take a basketball player or a soccer player and teach them the strokes and have them play well that first year. The best thing they can do is try to beat somebody who's about at the same level they are.
Yeah. Although with life getting in the way and not many matches under my belt here in the last couple of years, it could be ugly right now.
I suffer the same thing. I feed an awful lot of balls, but I don't hit too many.
I can feed with the best of them. Yeah, that's true. That's too funny. Again, we're joined here by Ken Rawson, coaching. Now, what's the last year was you're defending? You said this is the tough part this year. You got
We went 19-1 last year,
goodness.
including the state championship.
Goodness.
Our season starts next Wednesday out at Westboro. It was very tough to find opponents this
people
year,
ducking
non-league.
Manchester Essex, were they?
I sensed that's what was going on. And Westboro was the runner-up in Division One.
Yeah.
And so we managed to get them signed up. But I tried Acton-Boxborough too, and they wouldn't. They didn't do it. I don't know what the reason. Acton-Boxborough was the Division One champion.
How tough is that? Because scheduling is, I know, a big part of this. I mean, it's you have your league matches, which are set in stone. You're gonna play those no matter what. But then you got to get to this certain amount of outside of league matches, and you're trying to find the right balance of let's really test ourselves here, but also make sure we, I don't know. Do you want to try to schedule the toughest competition, or what's your philosophy?
My philosophy with this team, because of the talent level we have, is to schedule the toughest opponents I possibly can.
Yeah.
I mean, last year we played Winchester. We couldn't get them back this year. The dates didn't work out that we were offered. But I mean, Winchester is a Division II power, and if I can remember this correctly, last year we, with the exception of Winchester that we lost to close, we beat the top 4 seeds in Division II during the season.
Did you know you were that good from the get-go?
I knew we were going to be very
You knew it?
good.
Yeah.
But the job becomes different.
Yeah.
Instead of all teaching and encouraging and trying to get the kids to understand strategy and such, you're trying to hold together a lot of talent, which things can go wrong.
Right.
You can have issues with health. You can have issues with social interactions. You can have a lot of things go wrong for you. So when you've got the talent, you have to sort of groom it and then sort of hold it together until you get where you're going.
Brad Stevens is struggling now with the Celtics right now. He seems like he's got this team that should be running away with the Eastern Conference, and group's just not playing together this year, it seems.
In the professionals, that part of the job has to be so tough.
Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine?
I mean, your employees make 10 times the money that you make, and
a little prima donna aspect to it.
That's, yeah.
I take it you don't have to deal with too much of that.
No, thankfully I don't.
Yeah.
The worst thing I have to deal with will be, on occasion, a parent who's upset with something I've done or haven't done.
Every program at every high school throughout the country, I think, has that story.
Some worse than others. Ours, thankfully, is not bad.
It's good
Generally, everybody's pretty good.
Now, I know you're teaching on the girls' side, but let me ask you, and this probably goes back to the popularity of the sport. One thing that I have been unable to get my head around has been, I believe it was last year, Newburyport boys tennis. Newburyport, a community that should not have a problem putting a tennis team out there, could not put a tennis team out. Not enough players. Unbelievable to me.
Well, I've got 2 items that I'm sure are part of that. One is coaching. You've got to have a coach. Now, this is not a knock on who used to be the coach.
Yeah.
I don't know who used to be the coach. But coaching is a huge piece of it because they've got to be part of the driving force behind the team.
Almost a recruiting aspect.
Exactly.
Get aspect, yeah.
But also facilities.
Yeah.
Your community here, Newburyport, has a tough set of tennis courts up in a park that they use. I don't know of any others that are available to them. Mm-hmm. And so practice times are less attractive. Your matches, because you've only got 4 courts, take longer.
You need 5.
Well, so you have to wait in order to start one, and to have your JVs play, of course, you have to get all the varsity matches done.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so it's tough. Facilities are a big part of the issue. I mean, if the community can't, won't, whatever, supply the facilities to make the program attractive,
Yeah.
you're going to suffer.
You say that like you've seen that story before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I recall Salem, 15 years ago, had a construction project at the high school. They did a very nice job.
Yeah.
But they parked construction equipment on top of the tennis courts.
No.
Yes, and of course the tennis courts never recovered, and so the Salem team plays down at the Willows. I don't know if you've ever seen the courts at the Willows.
Yeah, I do recall that.
They are very sad,
Yeah.
and no bathroom facilities either down there.
Tough to get a crowd there.
For people to come for a bus ride of an hour and then play tennis for 2.5 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's nice to have restroom facilities.
Yes, indeed.
But they play on those Willows courts until Salem State goes home for the year, and then they're able to use theirs. And it impacts their program. I mean, Salem hasn't done well for a while, I believe, as far as their tennis programs.
Wow, that's great. It's very interesting. That's I hadn't quite thought of the facilities as much, but you're right. And especially on the JV aspect, because I think of so many matches. I mean, I was notorious for playing long matches, even matches that my coach says you really should have wrapped this up an hour ago. Do you mind? I don't know, whatever. But I mean, those things happen during tennis matches. So you figure you got a couple matches that are just kind of dragging on a little bit. There's a little fight by both players. Yeah. If you have to have another varsity match to start after one ends, it is very tough to even build a JV program.
It's tough. And if the JVs don't play, they lose interest. But the other part of it is practice facilities. I mean, you've got 4 courts here up in that park.
Yeah.
Really, that means that you've got a maximum of about 16 players you can carry on the team in order to have an organized practice. And if you have 6 courts,
you're going to be efficient
Ipswich,
too. You're going to be efficient with 16. My goodness.
Of course.
Yeah.
But with 6 courts, you can do 24 as a maximum.
Yeah.
So only having the 4 reduces the number of players that you can carry and run an effective practice. The work gets done in practice.
Yep.
If somebody is just sending the players out and saying, go hit the ball, and they think that's practice, they've missed the point completely. Yeah. I mean, the work gets done there because nobody's going to go into a match and then have you tell them, well, you have to get the racket back and come through. What's up, spin up. That's not going to happen. They're going to get out there and they're going to do whatever it is that they've been doing.
Right.
And so it's practice where you teach them how to strike the ball properly and everything else that goes with it. Absolutely.
I wonder if coaching at Manchester Essex, so you actually have to come here and play in Newburyport, and you guys you're in a bit of a tennis. I guess I think with the program you got going right now, you're a bit of a tennis mecca there at Manchester Essex. But you obviously feel great about your facilities. Is it tough for your players to go on the road and play into some of those tough environments? Not necessarily a tough environment, but it's just. We're used to.
We have times when the JV players don't get an opportunity to play.
That's going to be tough on your JVers, yeah.
Oh yeah, because they dress, they get on the bus, they drive, they get there, and if they don't get a chance to play, they're just riding the bus back.
Yeah. And they're the ones making the rest of your bench stronger in practice, right? Everybody's challenging.
They're next year's players.
Yeah.
At least at the doubles level.
So you want them playing in as much match play as possible, right?
One thing I try to do is I try to schedule matches at opponents that have a lot of courts.
Yeah.
I try to do that because in our league, Ipswich has 6 courts. Pentucket has 5 relatively new courts. They have a nice facility.
That's good.
But Triton only has 4. Newburyport only has 4.
Amesbury.
Rockport. Amesbury uses 2 sites.
Okay.
So they get around that. And North Reading has 6, I believe.
Okay.
But when we schedule non-league opponents,
Yeah.
I try to schedule opponents that have more courts.
So you're doing some work before you even ask for the date, huh?
It's not, it's not the attractive part of the work either. I mean, I like coaching and working with the kids.
Yeah.
That's what I like the best.
Absolutely. But we had started the show with me talking about the summers, and I guess I was doing that while in college with you when we were teaching the Danvers tennis program.
Yep.
And doing the summer thing, and probably a year or two out of college too. I think I was making sure to still do it in the summer, and then just life got in the way, and we had to move away from working together. But boy, did I love it. And we would work with kids. I mean, I don't think people understand how young we had kids. Do you remember how young we went as far as kids showing up?
Sometimes parents used to try to talk me into letting 4-year-olds into the program, and I used to say to them, well, most 4-year-olds don't have the hand-eye coordination,
right? And
they would say, oh, sure they do, and sometimes they would have the hand-eye coordination, and I'd get caught.
Yeah.
Because really, probably the biggest part of it is 4-year-olds don't have the emotional makeup to be able to lose to somebody in a match and not have it upset them so much. I mean, 5- and 6-year-olds still aren't great at it, but at least they're better than the 4-year-olds. The 4-year-olds aren't equipped to handle that.
And that 5 and 6 level, that was like that was nice to see that. That was some of our biggest groups sometimes. I remember that. Yeah. We had huge numbers of, and I'm sure a lot of that was, not necessarily looking for the next tennis pro, but I have somewhere to be this morning. I need an hour to myself. But that was pretty rewarding, I thought, working with the really young kids.
It's a lot of fun, and I used to have a system for getting them to go to the right court. I bet you don't remember this, and I haven't done it since then. I used to make up names for sort of like teams, and I'd say, okay, today we're green vegetables, and this group is broccoli, and this group is green beans, and this group is spinach. And so then when we would move through to the next exercise, I would rotate courts, and that was as much as anything to have you and Nora at that time have a different group each time and have the kids pay attention to a different person. But I'd say, okay, if you're green beans, you're on court number. If you're broccoli, you're on court number, and we would rotate them around.
I always said it was a great just kind of leadership experience for me. Anyway, just because those kinds of tricks. Anybody if you're ever gonna lead young kids, you learn that you need tricks like that and make it fun and make it interesting. And kids that age are just not naturally the best listeners in the world.
No,
so how do I get through?
Herding cats if you expect them to do too much.
Exactly.
But they also responded to that naming device I used because it was fun.
Fun, yeah.
I would say, okay, today we're cowboy names. And this group is Slim, and this group is Tex, and this group is Rusty, or something like that.
And then you get the one kid who goes, I don't want to be.
It happened.
That's funny. Well, then of course we taught all ages, including all the way up to adults even as we got into the evening hours. But I do remember one thing I always thought was rewarding on kind of the other end was I remember one kid we had, and I don't remember his name. I feel like I could dig it out here if I worked hard enough at it. But he wasn't playing organized, but you actually sent me away to hit with him a little bit because. He's got some strokes over there, and he has never been taught before, and he's got some athleticism. Go hit with him for a second.
You don't mean Nick, do you?
Was it Nick?
You don't mean Nick.
Is it Nikolai? Nikolai. Okay, that rings a bell. Was it him? Yeah, I think
it probably was him. I mean, we might have done it with one or two others. But
Nikolai, shorter kid, but he's probably not short anymore.
He actually grew to be a little bit taller.
He was young at the time. Yeah. But did he end up playing for anybody around here? Do you know? Did you follow him?
College, he played.
Well, there you go. He played college.
Yeah.
Okay.
He played down in Stoughton, Division II. I can't think of the school. I know it's in Stoughton.
Division II in Stoughton. I don't know, Lily. You're kind of in that looking at schools. No, not sure. I'm not interesting. So you went out to play college tennis, though.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I still was coaching the high school team when he was there in high school, and he was our number one. And
So he went through Danvers at the time.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. I think I remember seeing that because I remember his name popping up, and I said, "Is that the same Nikolai that?" No.
We had when he was there, we had a pretty strong team because we had a couple of other guys who were quite good.
That's good. New courts in Danvers, which is nice. I see.
Yes.
I haven't been on them yet. They decent?
I haven't been on them since they've been redone.
Since they've been redone, yeah.
And
I
can tell you that my last high school year there, boy, they were rough.
Oh, yeah.
They needed to be redone.
They needed to be redone when I was there. and I'm getting a little older now.
That's one of the spots that there's water underneath it.
Yeah.
And the water in the wintertime freezes, and you get frost heaves, which until the weather warms up, you can't even push the things down.
Right.
It was tough when the courts
Then you eventually have cracking and...
Oh, just the very first year you get cracks from the frost heaves.
Yeah, crazy. Again, joined here by Ken Rawson, Manchester Essex girls coach, defending champion, getting ready to start the defending that title here, which is an exciting time. We were talking off the air. One thing which is a little bit different as a coach is trying to get your team ready for every other team's best shot, because you're not going to be catching anybody off guard when you go 19-1 and win a state title, right?
No, they see you coming. And there are a lot of rules about juggling the lineup and such, and hopefully we don't see any of that.
Is it still your two best players have to play 1 and 2?
Yes.
Okay. So that rule hasn't. That's a good rule. That rule should never change, I don't think, right?
the thing that they've done is they've made it so that you actually have to document the challenge matches between the players. And your number 1 doubles team has to be better than your number 2 doubles team.
Okay.
I mean, that doesn't say you can't play whoever you want. Just one has to be stronger than the other.
Okay. Well, that makes sense to me too. Any rules out there that I won't ask you to attack the MIAA, but any rules that you think would benefit the game right now off the top of your head that you wish would be addressed?
Not really.
You're doing all right on that front. Okay.
We've learned to exist with the rules they have out there, and they get a little bit tighter every year, especially in the area of lineup juggling that I mentioned. But no, it's. Hey, we can deal with it.
So far, so good on that front.
Yeah.
All right, Ken. Well, do you have you got 10 more minutes to stick around? We'll finish strong. I know you got practice this afternoon.
Yeah, I do. I have to. What time is it?
It's we're not at 3:30 yet.
Okay, I can stay until 3:30.
Yeah, it flies by this show. We'll take one quick break. We'll do a couple more minutes with Ken Rawson because he's wearing that U.S. Open hat and he has great stories from the U.S. Open. It's part of one of my favorite parts. So I want to make sure we get to that. One quick break. We'll be right back. It's Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio. All right, welcome back to Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio. My name's Drew Moholland. Lily Doucette producing the radio side. David Kramer on the TV side. Tyler Neufeld is here doing something somewhere as well. We'll see where he is later. But Ken Rawson is my guest. He's the coach over at Manchester Essex Girls Tennis. Getting ready for the big season here. Match 1 is not far away. When'd you say it was? Monday? When was it?
Wednesday,
you said.
At Westboro.
At Westboro. All right, so coming right up. I am curious a little bit. We'll talk U.S. Open in a moment, but I am curious a little bit about the rest of this Cape Ann League. How's the rest of the league shape up?
Well, one of the reasons I came to the Cape Ann League was because the Cape Ann League values tennis.
Yeah.
And so, in general, the level of tennis is pretty good.
Yeah.
We, of course, enjoy that. Linfield is generally the strongest team, if it's not us, if we aren't the strongest team.
Yep.
But as well, Newburyport, the girls in Newburyport have been pretty strong the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Now, I believe they have a new coach this year, which I wish them luck.
Yeah.
But that's always a tough thing to go through.
Yeah. Taking over a program.
Yeah, and even a very experienced coach has to get to learn all the personalities and the opponents and all kinds of things like that. But based on the last couple or 3 years, Newburyport has had a pretty strong girls program too.
All right. Well, good to know. So you get some tests out there.
Yeah. I mean, I like to see that.
Yeah, that's good.
Masco is always pretty good too.
Yep.
Masco has a larger student body than a lot of the schools. I mean, I'm always amazed that we can come up with the players we do.
Yeah.
Because we've only got like 250 girls in the school.
Yeah, that's funny that, the Newburyport-Triton rivalry is always pretty big, but a lot of the Newburyport kids I have on, they always say, as much as we like to beat Triton, there's always that group of people that says sometimes Masco is more rewarding. Just they're always throwing some sort of tough squad, in every sport, because there's just so many. It's a numbers game.
Yeah, it's a much bigger school.
Absolutely. So very good. So you're all geared up, ready to go. Does it ever get old?
No. The part I like best is the competitive aspect, the inter-school rivalries and such.
And there's a lot of those here. This in particular, this is a rivalry-driven league, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. There's history all over the place.
Absolutely. One quick thing you mentioned earlier when you said you live in Florida most of the year, but you come back to coach now. Mm-hmm. You reminded me. I just watched that 30 for 30 on Coach Jim Calhoun of UConn, the basketball coach.
Yeah.
Who's now coaching he retired, tried broadcasting, and he just couldn't.
Came back.
He's coaching some D3 school in front of 75 people watching a night. And while he's actually battling some tough health issues.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly where that stands, but I hopefully wish Coach all the best. But I remember that scene, and it just resonated in me where he said, I think retirement's great for a lot of people, and doing other things is great for a lot of people. I'm a coach, and I realized I need it.
I used to really enjoy his press conferences because he was always very frank.
Yes. I'm sure. Hopefully, you don't get some of the questions he's gotten.
Oh, no. Some of them are unfair.
Some of them are unfair.
Yeah.
But so let's do this real quick. So you are Mr. Tennis in my eyes. Any tough tennis question I've needed to know over the years, if I've been desperate, you get a call from me. And I check in.
As long as you're just desperate.
As long as right. Desperate Drew. The U.S. Open is something you've done every year? Have you missed any years?
I worked there 11 years, and you recall we did an opening day thing on the radio when you were on a different station.
Yeah.
And I did it for 11 years, and the thing I tell people is it took me 11 years to figure out 10 was enough.
Really? So no more. You're all done.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I became a supervisor when I was just one of the blue shirts. Yeah. That I could watch everything and had a great time. Yeah. When I became a supervisor, all of a sudden I became the lightning rod for all of the issues. Go talk to that guy in the red shirt.
All problems said that way. Yeah.
Angry people for any number of reasons. But one of the best experiences I had there was when I was still a blue shirt, and we had a situation where there was two semifinals going on in the big stadium, Ash.
Yeah.
And Federer was in one, and Nadal and Andy Murray were in the other.
What a Final Four.
And well, they were for several years.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm not sure Djokovic was the other player, but at any rate, one match was going to happen after the other, and the management saw that there was a big storm coming in.
Yeah.
And so they said, what we'll do is we'll take the second match that hadn't started yet, and we'll put it over in Armstrong. Now, if you've been there, Armstrong has these giant, it's ripped down now, but 20-foot high gates.
Yeah.
And so they sent the match over to Armstrong. And after about 2,500 people had dribbled in from the grounds, they told us close the gates. Well, the stadium held 10,000 people.
Yeah.
But there were 2,500 in there, and we closed the gates. Well,
quarter full.
The big board in Ash said that the match was going to happen, and everybody was surprised. The people who wanted to see that match more than see Federer beat up on whoever he was playing, all of a sudden got up out of their seats. Now you've got 24,000 people in Ash.
Yeah.
And so let's say half of them got up because Federer was winning handily.
Yeah.
And all decided they were going to walk over to Armstrong, which was next door, and watch this Murray and Nadal match. Well, they told us to close those gates, as I said.
Oh my goodness.
And so, like 10,000 people show up to try to get into the stadium. They were climbing the gates. The profanities that they were screaming at us.
Oh
were
my!
Unbelievable. And they were trying to get over these gates and offering you money and all kinds of things to let them in. Well, the few police who were there got scared. And they actually called the riot squad in. I kid you not.
New York City riot squad.
Yes,
oh my!
they called in the riot squad, which means that all the people who were in like the accounting program and things like that, as long as they're in uniform, they send them over as the riot squad.
They weren't expecting the U.S. Open to be a big problem for them, were they?
No, not at all. And so the riot squad showed up and they ringed the stadium. In order to keep the crowds away from
That is unbelievable.
away from the match.
What year was that?
Oh, I'd have to guess and say it was about 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the end of the story, if you've got if you've got time,
Absolutely.
is Nadal was killing Murray.
Yeah.
Just killing him, and had won the first set and was halfway through the second set. But then the rain started. They were right. The rain was coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, so the rain started and it stopped the match. And they had to restart the match the next day. Well, the next day, Murray had gotten a message from God or something. And he destroyed Nadal.
Wow, yeah.
He came back from the deficit and destroyed him and won the match. So not only did we have that incident with the riot squad, but Nadal, who would have been in the final,
Yeah.
if the match had continued without the rain stopping it, never made it, and it was Murray instead.
I bet Rafa was saying some profanities himself over there.
I'm sure he was.
It is a sport, isn't it? That can happen. I mean, there's no teammate that can bail you out if you're having a bad shooting night. Game of tennis is you and you're in your head, you know?
It's all about you. If you've got a sore foot or a stomach ache, hey, you've got to deal with it.
Yeah, that was fascinating watching. Was that Australian this year where Serena went up 5-1 in the third set and cruising, and she slipped and fell, and next thing you know,
Had to be
7-5.
the Australian. That's the only one that's.
I think it was
finished.
I think it was the Australian. I was trying to remember if it was one of the majors or if it was I watched some minor tennis too, some of the smaller tournaments.
Yeah,
But,
Tennis Channel stuff.
you know, it's if there's nothing, if I'm flipping through and I see Serena, I tend to give her the time of day.
I actually don't watch that much tennis on TV because I like it so much better live.
Yeah.
I would rather see, neighborhood kids play live than
Coach
watch
at heart.
TV match. I guess so.
You must do you get to? I mean, I'm sure you've seen some of the. Maybe we joke about Rafa being cranky that day, but the salty side of some of these players may be a little bit behind the scenes. I'm sure you have some stories of maybe not finest moments or.
Well, actually, some of the real characters are gone now. Guys like Nastasi and Tyriak and those guys. Serena's the one who's most prone to outbursts.
She is, yes. Although there's been some real big issues with her. Big moments of just awkwardness, of foot faults and.
I was there for that.
Were you there
for
that?
Japanese judge.
You were in the at court?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what was that like? That's a historic moment.
You could hear her, and it was very plain what she said to this judge, and the judge, I don't know, maybe she really shouldn't have, but she feared for her safety and said she did.
Yeah, and that's a big problem when you go to the chair and say that.
Yeah, and Serena's a formidable physical presence too.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't take anything she said lightly. I mean,
you're just happy she wasn't saying it to you.
I've been up close to her, very like this far away.
Yeah,
and she is. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
What a physical specimen!
Oh
she
man,
is.
even and amazing how that she recovered after pregnancy. I just can't. I don't, there is a precedent for that. There has been players that have done that before, but
she's got the competitiveness. She's got the desire, and I mean she's already playing at an age when
Yeah.
when most people have retired.
Is she your choice to as far as on the female side, favorite player to watch right now?
I like a lot of different players. She's of course somebody who hits the ball hard.
Yeah.
Who's got a big serve.
Yeah.
She's fun to watch.
Federer has always been my guy. I feel like he's the classiest of champions.
Federer is still faster than people realize.
Yeah.
People think that he knows where the ball is going to go.
Yeah.
That's not it. He's just fast enough
Yeah.
to get there and make it look like he knew it. What a wonderful player.
He is, and I've always loved his demeanor on the court too. It's I mean, even just at the high school level, when you're playing a big match and you don't have a stadium full of people looking down on you, it's easy to kind of just get to lose it at times. Not completely, but have moments where you kind of you lost your composure there for a second and it cost you a game. He doesn't have that.
No, obviously he doesn't. But I played against a pro in Palm Beach once, and this pro told me, he said he went pro after high school, which was, I mean, in the past, of course. And he said he never won a match as a professional, never.
Wow. And
he said there are lots of people who can hit the ball like Pete Sampras, but very few who can do it in front of 10,000 people.
Well, I think that is a very nice way to end this show here for the day. There you go. For all your high school kids, there's a good message when you're thinking about taking it to the next level. You got to keep that head on straight, right? I'm sure it's something you teach in practice, if I had to guess. Although you can't always get into players' heads, I guess. But
no, that's dangerous territory.
Ken Rawson, Manchester Essex girls tennis coach, and a friend of mine for many years now. Thank you so much for doing it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Drew.
Good luck on the season here. Kicks in next week.
Thanks.
I know you got practice this afternoon, so I'll let you get out of here and go do it, all right?
Thank you very much.
We'll see you again, my friend. Maybe we'll talk if you win another title. How about that? Deal?
Oh, wonderful. That's a deal.
Sounds good. Ken Rawson. We'll be back, finish strong here on Afternoon Drive. My name is Drew Moholland. Keep it here. All right, welcome back to Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. Lily Doucette producing, David Kramer doing the TV. Big thanks to Ken Rawson, our guest today. He was fantastic, old friend of mine, and he was a good boss back in the day, too. It was fun catching up with him, and he's a great coach. He really is. If you ever get a chance to, seems like he's not doing too many programs around here anymore with the move to Florida, but if you ever had a chance to get into one of his programs, you know how good of a tennis coach he is, and not surprising, they won the state championship at Manchester Essex last year. Tyler Neufeld bringing him in here, producer's segment. How are you, bud?
I'm good. And yourself?
Doing good. You have a lot of energy. Is that Thursday afternoon energy? You can see the end of the week?
Yeah, I'm leaving again for New York tomorrow, as usual.
Oh, yeah. When you told us that.
Back-to-back weekends.
This is the big 2 gigs you said this weekend. Very exciting.
2 gigs, yeah.
That'll be fun.
Be good.
We got one of your songs in the old system here.
Dude, you want it? We could play it now. We could play it later.
Let's wait a couple minutes.
It's about 5 minutes long.
It's good to know. All right. It's funny too. This is the first ever show that we've done with one of my dogs in the studio.
Yeah. So Mookie, lovely dog.
Yeah.
We probably should have let him out.
Keep talking, Tyler. I'll get him on here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we probably should have let him out, but we didn't, and he, to put it politely, urinated on the floor. It's okay. That wasn't on a rug.
There's Mookie.
Cleaned it up.
Say hi, buddy.
He's good. He looked a little guilty about it, but he's a good pup.
You peed on the floor, Mookie. Looks guilty. He looks guilty.
He does, but he's
doing
good.
Good.
He's a good pup.
He's a good guy. He's the new pup in the fam.
The new one. How old is he?
Well, 4 or 5 months, we think.
Oh.
Shelter dogs, they're kind of tough to tell exactly, but we think 4 months. So,
how big will he get?
Sarah Hayden and I, the boss, were just talking about that, and we both think pretty big.
Pretty big.
Yeah. It's pretty quiet though. Although now he's trying to catch his tail, so that's a puppy. That's a puppy move. Gotta love the dogs. What are you doing? Unbelievable. It is fun having a puppy. A lot of energy, but you got a dog, right? We've talked about your dogs before, haven't we?
No, I have cats.
Oh, you have cats. That's
I'm
right.
allergic to cats and dogs, and
Yes.
so I have 3 cats.
So you have 3 cats. Yes, that makes sense. Good. So what's the trip to New York for you? What do? You just drive straight down?
I drive. Well, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm going into the city, I usually drive to Stratford, park in the parking lot,
Gotcha.
hop on the train, get out at Grand Central, and then hoof it over to Brooklyn.
Stratford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've done that move before. I think I used to get off in Norwalk. Does that make sense? Norwalk, Connecticut.
Yeah, that's
Right around there. I think.
some
Park in Connecticut, train the rest of the way. Kind of
it-
breaks up the ride nice, doesn't it?
It does, because then you can pass out on the train
Yes.
or just not pay attention.
Right.
You can't do that while driving.
Yeah. So that is nice. Very good. You already packed and ready to go?
No.
No. Do you
No.
pack much as a musician for a weekend?
Yes and no. I overpack sometime, all the time.
Yeah.
Overpack, except for like abroad trips.
Yeah.
I don't play abroad, but when I went to Berlin.
Yes. Well, you overpacked or underpacked?
No, I was underpacked.
Underpacked. Yeah, underpacked for Berlin. Perfect. Very good. Well, that's exciting. You ever been to the U.S. Open? We were just talking about the U.S. Open in New York.
No, I have friends that go every year though.
I hear it's a great take.
Yeah, I hear it's a lot of
I'm
fun.
a tennis guy, and I've actually never gone, which is kind of bad. I should.
Where is it in New York though?
It's Flushing.
Oh,
Yes.
that's out there.
Yeah.
I've been there once.
Yeah, you get it's more the city backdrop, you know. It's but it's New York. It's definitely a New York feel. Celebrities are out, and it's late night, and it's lights, and they call it like the rock and roll tournament of the majors because it's like Wimbledon's proper tea in the morning and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
your fun stuff.
yeah, the Australian Open's kind of hot and yeah, and New York is like rock and roll. This is late night matches going past midnight and rowdy crowds and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. At least I got to do that. It's one of these years. Ken has gone for a decade, worked at the U.S. Open. So that's what we were talking
Oh,
about
that's
there.
really cool.
Yes, he's a cool guy. He's got very interesting stories. But anyways, enough about Ken. So you're leaving tomorrow? You said.
Mm-hmm. I'm doing the morning show here.
And then
I'm
out-
helping with that and leaving.
I got a concert tomorrow night.
What concert?
Amos Lee.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, I think I talked about it with EJ when he was on. Really looking forward to it. You're gonna get to the Orpheum, by the way.
I know.
See, I'm curious what you. I think you'll like it because you're a music guy and it's good sound.
I like the old theaters. They're nice.
You care more about sound than legroom, for instance, right?
Yeah,
you like a little legroom.
How much legroom are we talking?
It's an old building. Not the best.
I take it case by case.
Luxury is not the Orpheum.
Okay. Well, I'll have to give it a go.
Some great bands that played there, though. Very great bands. So I get this song staring at me.
Mm-hmm.
It's called "How I Met Your Mother,"
Yep.
and this is your band, Tyler Newthall.
Yep.
Your group.
Yep.
You on guitar?
No.
No. What do you?
Actually, fun fact: this is the only song off the album that I'm not on.
You're not on this
I'm
song.
not on this
You give me a
song.
song that you're not on. What
This
is wrong with
It's the
you?
only one they mastered so far.
I don't know. I don't know what that means, Tyler.
Yeah. Well, it means I'm not on it. That's the only important thing.
What do you think? Should we give it a spin here?
Yeah, why not?
Well,
We'll entertain
Kind
them.
of talk over it too. We'll just get a taste for it. Let me get it set up.
So yeah, you just hit play and then it's on the audition.
Yep. All right. So we're gonna go like this. We're gonna go like this, and then we're gonna go like this. Oh, sorry. There's your setup. And
What did I do? Is it playing?
it does say it's playing.
I don't hear it.
Do you need one of these? Up? There you go.
Is it on the dad?
Nobody knows what you're talking about. Here you go. You can hear it now. Ready? That's the right song, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, put it right in there. Right in the system.
Right, this is
Oh, nice voice.
yeah.
Who's singing there? Sorry, you say it again.
Oh, it's Sean O'Connor's.
Sean O'Connor, New York guy.
Yeah, well, New York.
New Yorker. How old is he? He sounds polished.
Polished.
Yeah,
20, 23?
he's a youngin'. It's a good voice for 23.
Yeah. He's not chain smoking.
Very cool. Well, I like that very much.
Yeah, there you go.
You
It'll
guys
be
are
out
good.
eventually.
So when are you going to bring in a song that you're on, selfishly speaking?
Whenever they decide to master it and mix it.
Well, that is funny. So that's great.
Yeah.
How many guys are in your band again?
There's 5.
5.
So-
And you got to travel the most.
I have to travel definitely the most.
Are you known as like Boston guy in the group?
No, well, because 3 of the people are also from Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they moved down to New York. Or one's in school still, and one works at a cheese shop
Cool.
in Brooklyn.
Were you there for the studio recordings of all these, though?
Yeah.
Who's mastering it?
So we have 2 people. Quick shout out to Jeremy Lucas, thank you.
There you go, Jeremy
And
Lucas.
his protege, Sam. I still don't know how to say his last name.
Sam, I am.
I'm sorry, Sam. I'll get your last name down.
He's gonna be angry. But very cool. We'll have fun this weekend, man. Couple
Yeah.
gigs. Anything else you want to mention? Producer of the day comment. Fun fact. Word of wisdom.
Word of-
Crazy moment.
Pay with cash when you go get your gas because it's cheaper. Usually,
Wow.
instead of card.
We're gonna make this a thing where you send one of these
Financial tips.
Financial tips to Tyler Neufeld. Perfect. Well, you have a good weekend, my friend. That
too.
should be fun in New York City. Lily, you too. Thank you for all your help this week. I appreciate it. David Kramer on the TV side. Everybody, thanks for watching at home. Very good. Ken Rawson, big thanks. It was great to catch up with Ken. Appreciated that very much on a day when he had to hustle out to practice. So it was good for him to make some time. We always appreciate it when the coaches and players make time for us. I know it can get busy, especially in season, which we usually like to have you on. So
Was
that
it a
can be
pun?
tough. But it wasn't a pun. But I see what you did. My name is Drew Moholland, folks. That's it for the week. We're going to play you out with Tyler's song here. How about that? That'll take you into the weekend. Go see him in New York City if you want. Where are you playing again?
Arlene's Grocery on the Lower East Side.
There you go. If you happen to be going by, folks,
Sunday.
you can hear this. Here you go. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next week, Tuesday, Thursday, same time, same place. Follow us on Twitter, @Joppa Afternoons, @Joppa, Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. My name is Drew Moholland. Have a great weekend. Be safe, everybody.